Okay, we are we are the group for the documentary The Daily Jam. I'm Kinan Tatunji.
I'm Will Mack.
I'm Charlie DC.
And I'm Jack Holland.
So the purpose of our documentary is we want to show how bad the traffic is and what is causing it. And we want to show this to the NHS administration, hoping that they will be able to maybe take some of our suggestions and solutions and hopefully get rid of how bad this traffic is, either for our year or the coming students into Northville High School.
Yeah, and then people who might watch this is anybody that goes to Northville High School or anybody that may be affected by traffic in the morning. And then potential bias, I believe that people who go to Northville High School and are affected by it on a daily basis would agree that there's an issue with the traffic and that hopefully there could be a solution for it.
Another group for the audience could be parents of students who go here, because some students come late, and some parents might ask why there's tardies and things of that nature, and we can show them this documentary as to prove why.
Yeah, our main goal of this documentary is basically to be able to like show this to like the NHS like administration and get them to like at least like if they could get like come up with like an immediate solution or like fix the problem, at least have them like realize like what's actually happening, how it affects people, and try to get them to get thinking about possible ideas or solutions to the issue.
A film that we watched in class that we all really liked was The Cove. Charlie, as being the one who did most of the editing, what is some of the film techniques that you used?
So one of the main field techniques that we use, like when actually get like footage itself, is long shots. Similar to like the Cove, how like they have like big long shots of like where like the dolphins were held and like what was happening to them. We use long shots of the parking lot for like different angles to show like all of like the cars going in and out. And really, we tried to aim to have like hectic and chaotic shots because the main goal there was to show that the parking lot wasn't just like a neat and orderly like rotation. It was like, although there was some sense of order there, it's not really like it's not like what you expect to have like a neat and orderly parking lot. It was just kind of chaotic. You hear cars honking all the time, and just yeah, it's main just
Yeah, it's a little bit of a free for all, and then something else that we borrowed from the documentary. Sorry, it was non-diegetic sound. To keep people interested in the film, you put background music on certain shots, and to set the tone as well, you use that non-diegetic sound.
Another thing on the Cove was like Charlie said, all the shots, different various shots we had. The Cove did a very good job of having like thoroughly spread out like diversity of shots, and we incorporated that into our documentary also.
The film that we watched for at home was the documentary Icarus. Icarus was a very interesting film talking about the steroid use in the Olympics and just every sport, and just how much a hand Russia had in it. I really liked how Icarus used their sound. Their sound in the first half of the movie was very playful and fun, while in the second half it definitely took a twist for a more suspenseful and mysterious soundtrack. I think we definitely could learn from that, as they didn't just stick with one sound, but they switched it up depending on what was happening. And they did have a much longer film with a lot more stuff going on. I don't think we had the same thing going on for our documentary, but it was very interesting to see just how much sound they used.
Another thing we took from Icarus is like they spread out their interviews throughout the documentaries. They didn't just have like long run-on interviews. They like had like 1 to 2 minute segments throughout it, and we thought that was a good idea because we initially had them all grouped together, and that was a little bit boring, so we started cutting them out.
One of the main things that I personally like about the editing process was like the transitions that you use between scenes. what they would have like in like the chapters of the movie was they'd have like the name and then like a small like picture like the company in it, and they kind of just like, and it would linger on that for a few seconds, and then it would go back to like the narrators like talking about what was happening. And I thought that was really nice as the viewer to know like when like specific like phases or like stages of like a certain plan or idea were coming through, and they kind of like gave this idea that there was a sense of progression, and it wasn't just like a mindless listing of facts or knowledge or just putting interviews on screens. Like there was a plan around the documentary, I guess, and kind of like the general progression of ideas.
Yeah, I liked Icarus, and one thing that they did was not only could we tell that there was a clear like beginning, middle, and end, but we also had like a first half and a second half at the first time. Like the first half was just more fun and trying to just get our own. The first half of the movie was just more of the cyclist trying to get better and to do much better, but realizing that steroids wasn't really enough. The second half then turned into a more espionage and more mysterious. Uh, I lost my train of thought with all these people walking by. Actually, I'll pause it. We're back, so Jack, you can make your points about Icarus.
And one last thing we noticed about Icarus that was similar to our film was hearing from multiple people's perspective. If you just heard from one side in Icarus, you'd probably believe that one side was right and the other side was wrong. But hearing from multiple sides, you do see where both are coming from. And we certainly did that with ours, hearing from teachers, people who work here, and then our perspective as well.
How we divided the tasks for this project, we will have to say that Charlie did a lot of work. We won't try to hide that. Charlie did a lot of the editing, and Charlie did do the interviewing. Jack, Will, and I recorded a lot of the shots outside, and it was cold, so if we can at least give ourselves some credit, we did stay early or stay late at school. We do have some creative input. It wasn't just Charlie making all the decisions, but Charlie did do a lot of the editing. We can definitely agree to that. Sadly, we weren't able to divide the work more equally when it comes to editing, but Charlie was thankfully fine with it.
Some of the conclusions we have about our documentary. Overall, I personally think it was a pretty good source of information and like ideas we presented. I feel like it's not like too complex where like a person will just get bored trying to listen to it, trying to understand all the ideas, but it's not too vague or discreet where a person doesn't really have all the information they need in order to make inferences about how the school parking lot is. I think it hits right in that middle center where there's not too much but not too little information, and I think that's one of the main points of what makes the documentary strong.
I also think our documentary is very well-rounded, and it covers many points very equally, and it covers them all very good and thoroughly, but not too thoroughly on like one side or like not like a little bit about one thing.
Yeah, I think our documentary does a good job of showing the traffic that occurs on a daily basis, and that it is an issue and does not have such a simple solution like we might have thought at the start. And just as much as the school needs to do something, I think students and parents of students need to do something as well, whether it's carpooling or taking the bus if you do have the chance. It's certainly not just on the school to fix it.
Yeah, one thing for sure, just to show how much we learned while making this documentary, was that when me and Charlie first went in to interview, was it your aunt?
Yeah, Miss Torres, librarian.
Miss Torres, the librarian. We sort of have this bias as seniors as that juniors should not drive, and that might have helped, but we did get some more inputs on that's just not really fair. And it might not actually help a lot, because then you'll just have a lot of parents driving, and parents tend to not know if we have any like parking rules or anything. The documentary was fun to make. I had a lot of fun recording the stuff and trying to pretend like I was an actual film photographer, pretending that I knew what I was doing, making all those long shots, but I think it ended up turning out good. And Charlie's editing was really nice, so thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
This was the Daily Jam, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening and watching and learned something from our documentary.
Peace out, everyone.
Goodbye.